We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and our topic today is employee engagement. And I think in a lot of ways that if you are not engaging with your employees, if you're not providing a positive work environment for them, you're really going to miss the ball, and they're not going to work for you for a long period of time. They're going to find the next best thing, or they're going to decide not to work at all. So you want to provide a place for employees that they feel valued. And that's where I think we're going to have this conversation. And Linda, as I have worn both hats as an entrepreneur and working for somebody else, I'm excited to welcome Dr. Linda Jordan to the program. But Dr. Linda, when we talk about this topic, it's really a big problem when your upper management and owners do not see the value of having engaged employees in their company, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, with all that has happened in the past year and a half of COVID and changes in work structure, people working from home and now trying to get back into the workplace, it's very concerning. And so employees are feeling like they have not been heard. Some are willing to go back into the office, but some are still a little leery because not knowing who's all had their shots. But even before the pandemic, leaders need to have conversations with their staff and be more genuine and let them know that they care about them as a person. And that's really when employees become engaged, when someone knows that a leader cares about them.
Yeah, that leader caring about them is so important. Like I've been with companies back when I've worked, and if they believe that you have an entrepreneur mindset and you want you to grow in the company, you want them to have certain ownership, develop feedback, grow with them. But if they feel that they're stagnant, they're out, right, Dr.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're out because their voice is not being heard. So, Sally over there may have tried to make her opinion be heard, and someone, they just said, oh no, we're not going with that. So they kind of, slapped her down, and then they now pull away and they no longer want to participate because they're like, well, no one's going to listen to what I have to say. So that's, it's very concerning. I think it's getting to be more, we're having more of that in the workplace right now because people are wanting to have more flexible work options. And so that's a challenge, because leaders are now trying to figure out how to have those conversations, because you just can't walk down the hallway and see that person anymore. You have to go on Zoom or whatever platform you have and bring them into the conversation. And that makes it really challenging.
And especially the virtual world that we live in, if everyone are back to work or back to certain situations, but they've learned from that time being at home or being laid off or different things, why should I work for another company? So if they're going to work for another company, they're going to want specific things, Dr. Linda. So can you explain some of the things that people who want to continue to be employees are looking for on a regular basis, so that the employers understand, I have to really hit those areas or I'm going to lose these employees either to working for another company or working for themselves?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So most importantly, people, they want to know, first of all, that they have a safe place to go to work. So if they bring about concerns, that someone's going to listen to them. They won't feel that, oh, I can't say this because I'm going to be, retaliation might occur. So they want to feel that they're in a safe place. Secondly, they want to know that someone cares about them. When I was in corporate, I would take the time to go by my staff's desk to say, good morning, how are you doing? How did your evening go? So they want someone to know, they want to know that someone cares about them. But thirdly, they want to make sure that, as they are improving and increasing and developing in the workplace, that they want to know that there's an opportunity for them to get to that next level. But also, like you said before, making sure that they have a seat at the table, that they feel like they're not really an owner of the company, but they are feeling like they are part owner, not necessarily from a stockholder perspective, but their opinions are valued. And some of those opinions that they share are potentially implemented. So they can see that, yes, I have a seat at the table and my opinion counts.
And that their salaries can increase, right? If the salaries
absolutely, yeah.
They're out because they can say, I could go make this as an entrepreneur. And that's the thing. So Dr. Linda, what are you seeing of the people now that have decided not to go back to the workforce? When you study this stuff and you look at employee engagement, so many people, we call it the Great Reset, right? So many people are looking now to work for themselves or do a couple side hustles and forget about that 9 to 5 job. What do you say? Is that going to continue, or do you think, how can employees bring people back?
Well, I think employees can bring people back, first of all, by just having the conversation. But yes, to answer your question, I do see that, the younger generation, the millennials, they're the ones right now who are wanting to have that entrepreneurial spirit. They're wanting to start their own business, from whatever the case may be, food trucks to marketing. They're not afraid to take a risk. So what we see more now in the workplace are more baby boomers, more people like me who are now back in the workforce because the millennials are doing their own thing. And so that's the struggle. And that's why we see a lot of places right now. Places are open, but they have limited seating. And it's not always because they're being, COVID friendly, but it's because they don't have any employees there. So in order to get people back to work, they've got to make some changes. They've got to be more flexible. They've got to listen more. And of course, sometimes you may have to pay a little bit more, but the bottom line is people want to be heard. They want to know that their opinion counts. They, if they're a single parent, they want to know that, yes, I can go back to school and still, take care of my kids, but the company is there to help support me. And that's really what they want.
So what kind of companies do you work with for employee engagement?
So I work with lots of various types of companies, but right now what I'm working with is entrepreneurs, large and small businesses, and a lot of nonprofits. So what I do is I bring employee engagement into the workplace. We talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because that's at the tip of the iceberg.
So the nonprofit world's getting you back in understanding in the nonprofit world what's happening in the food industry world and the places where we can't find workers. And that would be something you could go on a ton of shows on, Dr. Linda, why people do not want to be in the service industry anymore, why they don't want to work a basic first job. They're not willing to do it. And it's because of the entrepreneur boom set. It's also about the side hustles. Why am I going to go work for where I'm not loyal? Are we going to constantly see this? Is this going to be, or can we bring it back? Because I think that's the biggest need right now. If we're talking about, if you're going to the grocery store, if you're going to a restaurant, if you're going to certain places, they just can't find that. They're overworked and underpaid, and there's not enough.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all see that in the health industry, with nurses, and I praise all of them for the work that they're doing, because they're working long hours because, they don't have anyone to cover that extra shift. I think over time, as, this pandemic, the COVID issue settles down a little bit more, I think things will slightly change just a little bit, but that entrepreneurial spirit will still be there for the ones who are successful. Being a business owner is not an easy job. And, some people think it's easy, but it's not. So they may find themselves, or we may find that people are doing a 9 to 5, but still doing that side job or that side hustle until they can walk away from that 9 to 5. So I think it's going to be a hybrid mix until things kind of level out.
All right. So Dr. Linda, best place we can find information on you, especially when you're looking at employee engagement for your company, of who you work with on a regular basis, which is our entrepreneurs, startups, different places like that. Where can people connect with you?
The best way for people to connect with me is to go to my website, which is www.lindajordon, LINDAJORDON.com. No relation to Michael. Most people spell it with an A. But that's the best way for people to connect with me, or they can send me an email at linda@lrj-consulting.com.
All right. Appreciate you coming by. It was a really good conversation, but I think that if you're looking to get on a ton of TV shows, especially local TV, if you can talk that topic area, trust me, you can get on every local TV show across the country when it talks about the biggest situation, the Great Reset. I really believe the topic.
Well, thank you, Neil. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Take care. Thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.